Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode. Today, we are going to do another music ranking video. So, last week I ranked all 10 of my favorite artists, Demi Lovato, all 10 of her albums. And this week, I'm going to rank another artist that's a personal favorite of mine, but not just any favorite. If I had to say who would probably be my all-time favorite, it will probably be this artist. And if you didn't figure out who it was when I hinted at last week, it is Katy Perry. I if you were to if you were to ask me who was my all-time favorite female singer, I'll probably say Katy Perry. I have been a fan of hers since maybe like 2009, 2010, like right around when she first started, becoming mainstream and popular. The funny thing is, when she first released the song "I Kissed the Girl," I actually honestly thought it was like one of the most annoyingest songs I ever heard. But then I saw the video and I was like, "Oh, that's Katy Perry." Okay. And of course, like most hormonal teenage boys at that time, I was a little disappointed because not a single girl was kissed in that video. But that is neither here nor there. So, but yeah, so I went ahead and this past Saturday at work, like I did with Demi's, I pretty much binged all seven of her albums to see which one really is the best and which one is not so best. So, with that being said, also, like I said, I actually have three of her albums actually on CD. I don't have the case anymore because I threw them away. I just have the little booklets and the CDs. I keep them in one of those little CD binders. I'm sure all you 2000s kids know exactly what I'm talking about. So, yeah. So, with that being said, let's get straight into the ranking of all seven of Katy Perry's albums. So, coming in at number seven, which I hate to say is actually probably her worst album, and I really do not like to use the word worst. I would rather use the term least favorite. But like I did with Demi's album, like I did with ranking Demi's albums and the warnings. But in this case, I honestly have to use the term worst, and it sucks. It pains me to say this about my favorite singer, but yeah, these first two were, I'm gonna be honest, quite a chore to get through. So coming in dead at number seven, probably her worst, is her self-titled debut album, Katy Hudson. Now you're probably wondering what album are you talking about because you're probably thinking, I thought One of the Boys was her debut album. See, if you really knew, or like I said, I'm actually, she actually had, that's actually her second album. Her debut album was, believe it or not, a Christian rock album that she released under her real name, Katie Hudson, which she changed for, you know, professional wise, not to get mixed up with the actress Kate Hudson, but she did release I guess you can call it Christian rock album, self-titled called Katy Hudson, and I'm pretty sure there's not a lot of people that know that. Like probably like the real diehard fans probably know about that album, and probably it's only the real diehard fans that probably actually listen to that album. So, and unfortunately, I am ranking it at last. I mean, yes, in last place, and I mean, I don't have anything against Christian rock. I mean, if you that's your thing, hey. I mean, I like Creed, I like Skillet, so I'm pretty sure they're considered Christian rock if I'm not mistaken. But listening to this album, I'll be straight up honest. Like the first couple of songs were actually pretty decent. They had that garage rock um kind of sound to it, and I am actually a fan. I like that type of sound, like the garage rock band and everything. If you know what I'm talking about, if you ever been to like a garage band show or something like that. But yeah, like um the first two songs or two or three songs on the album actually, like I said, they sounded pretty decent because they had that type of sound. Um, and for those of you who didn't know, yours truly was in a band myself, my junior year in high school. We lasted a grand total of 2 weeks. Number of shows we played? Zero. Number of times we rehearsed? Half a day because, yeah, our drummer didn't show up. Our bass player joined another band. So it was just me and the guitarist. I was supposed to be the lead singer. In hindsight, that was probably not a good idea because at the time I didn't have my daughtry vocal skills,
You
so
do not sound like Daughtry. You sound like Daughtry if he didn't know how to sing.
you know what this reminds me of when I'm doing my videos and Tabby's over there and when she was doing her video here and I was over there. I don't know if you guys ever seen the Muppets, the two old guys in the balcony are always just talking shit back about everything going on. That kind of reminds me
Always
of.
does not sound like Chris Daughtry. And I have had the privilege of being at a concert
I
and
mean,
hearing.
when
I did get mad at the crowd because they were so stupid. They did not sing a single word back. And I swear he could hear me and a drunk lady. That was it.
when I'm in the shower, when I'm at work by myself, I have that darky voice.
No, he doesn't.
But anywho, so yeah, that was the amazing legend of the garage band I was in that lasted a total of not even 2 weeks, but yeah, the glory days, if you would even call them that, which I probably wouldn't. Anyway, going back to the countdown.
Nobody calls high school the glory days.
uh, so yeah, this after the first couple songs are over, I'm gonna be honest with you. I actually got pretty bored listening to this one. That to the pack where like I wasn't even paying attention to the the rest of the album. I was just like going about my work and everything. Like when I did the demi binge and the warning one, like I was actually like listening to the words and everything like to get the better perspective like what exactly each song is about and which each album does. But with this one, I after like the first three songs, like I said, I like literally lost interest. And like I said, it sucks because Katy Perry is my favorite, and it literally was like a chore to get through this. I was like kept checking to see how many songs are left so I can like move on to the next one because I listen to these in chronological order because I like to see like how the evolvement of like the words and like their voices and everything, like see how they evolve as they go on with their albums. And yeah, just it didn't really do it for me. Like I said, I don't have anything against Christian rock or whatever. Like I said, if that's your cup of tea, hey, I'm not gonna judge you on it. But it really wasn't for me. I mean, I like Skillet. I like Skillet. They're considered Christian rock. I like Skillet. I wouldn't mind seeing them live one day. I like Creed. I think they're pretty. I'm pretty sure they're considered Christian rock. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure about it, but yes, unfortunately, I have to rank it. I'm not even gonna call it least favorite. I'll probably have to say worst. Like I said, I hate to use that term, but unfortunately, here I actually had to. So I'm sorry. Coming in at number six is her most recent album. Actually, it's called 143, which, in case you didn't know, is like code for "I love you." Um, this is her most recent album that just actually came out like maybe 2 years ago. And in all honesty, I haven't heard like any of the songs on that album until this past weekend when I actually listened to it. I knew she had came out with one, but like I said, I haven't heard like none of her really new songs, and it kind of sucks because I haven't really been following Katy Perry as much as I used to. Like I said, it's not like that my fandom for her is like dwindling or going away. It's just I don't know. I just there's other artists out now who like have my attention more right now, and so yeah, this was like legit my first time hearing this album, and like I said, I what I like to do when it comes to music or movies or anything, and I see like the online reviews. I usually like to go into it with my own open mind. It's just like to hear it for myself, to see it for myself, and get my own personal opinion. Because there could be something that people don't like, that I love. It could be something that I consider to be great. Other people might not like it and say it's the worst. And as a reminder, these are simply my opinions. You don't have to agree with them. I'm just, stating, like I said, my opinions of what I think is her worst from her best. And unfortunately, her most recent album just actually it didn't really hit with me. Um, it was honestly a choice between this one and the previous album I just talked about, which will actually be in last place. But her first album gets last because, like I said, I literally got bored listening to it. With this newest one, 143, at least it had a little bit more of a vibe to it, like like a nice little beat here and there. And there was, I like I said, just like I did with Demi, I made a list of songs that okay, I'm gonna add to my library. And there was out of this album, I probably say that, well, actually, oh, I actually added like four songs from this, but it just didn't really. I don't know how it didn't really feel like it just didn't hit that mark for me. And I had like there was probably like maybe like four or five different sounds in this album, like it was really trying to figure out what the hell it wanted to be. Um, and I really tried. Like I said, okay, let me try and maybe I'll find something here I like. And like I said, there was like maybe like one or a few songs in here that I actually did enjoy. Also, like I said, I forgot to mention my favorite song on the last album, the her debut. Like I did it with the Demi one. I was saying my favorite song for each album. If I had to pick one from the Katy Hudson CD, it would probably be the opening track. Trust in Me, because like I said, it has that garage band vibe to it. For this album, if I had to choose a favorite song from this one, I'd probably choose her song Wonder, which she actually also just performed at the FIFA football thing. Like I said, I don't really watch football, but I saw that she performed the song on there. I think it was with her son, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But yeah, this album, it just didn't really do it for me. And again, like I said, it sucks to say that this album is like no good when it comes to like one of my favorite artists. But like I said, I really tried. And again, kind of like with the Christian one, I just like I started losing interest like halfway through. And I'm like, okay, what's the last album on the list? Just get it over with and listen to something else. And again, it really does suck to say that about, Katy Perry, but unfortunately, something has to come in last. Coming in at number five is her, I think that is her fifth album, Witness, which could,
Always listening to that kind of stuff, and I'm a metalhead.
I listen to rock, I like metal too.
Yeah, but I would never listen to people like Katy Perry. Ugh. Yay!
So coming in at number five is her fifth album. This is Witness. Um, this is the album that came out when I saw her for the second time in concert, and I'll be honest, at that time, like I said, it was
Yeah, no,
like
somebody's daughter.
we have a baby in the chat. Little baby.
Do you even remember her name?
I do.
Good job.
See,
You got one right.
I gotta keep a drawing board of these cats' names. But yes, when Witness came out, I was at the point where like I said, I really wasn't following her as much as I used to. Um, I think we got the tickets for this concert. Remember, like a few days before the actual concert, and at that point, I had probably heard like maybe like a couple of songs off that album, like mainly the ones that they had like played on the radio and the music video out. So I think I want to say I binged that album the day of the concert just to see, and I was actually like practically front row for the concert. I was maybe like the third row from the actual stage. And one thing that I guess I've seen Katy Perry in concert twice, and both times I can honestly say the worst part about seeing her live is the fact that if you ever been to her concert, I don't know if it was just here in Chicago or if it was anybody else, but all both times that I saw her live, she took forever to come out on stage. The first time we saw her, her opening band played, and then she was maybe like an hour later, she finally came out. The second time when I saw her live, um, Noah Cyrus opened up for her, and then when she was done, it legit was about 2 hours before Katy Perry came out. It was already getting late. I had work the next day. I legit was falling asleep in my seat because I was tired, and it was already getting late. And yeah, and she finally came out, and I could tell the crowd was getting restless because they were like playing like music, like to lighten the mood, like in on the intercom thing. And like every time the song would end and it'll fade away, there was the crowd would start chanting and cheering because they thought she was gonna come out. But then another song would play and they would start getting all upset. But yeah, I think that's probably the worst thing about seeing her in concert. I don't know if she still does it, but it would take forever for her to come out onto stage. But yeah, the album Witness, like I said, it's not bad and it's not the best. It's one of those that's just like legit, like right there in the middle. And I think that's pretty much the the middle part for me when it comes to ranking these because aside from the two I just mentioned, which I consider the worst, and this one which I consider like the dead right in the center, like oh, and the four after this are the better ones. Um, but yeah, like I said, Witness. This is around also the time when she like changed up her look. She like pretty much got rid of all the colored hair and all the candy whatever outfit she had, and she went for a more realistic um look, I guess if you could say. When she went back to her natural blonde, she cut her hair short and everything. And I don't know. I feel like Witness was kind of like when I said about Demi's album Unbreakable. Like it felt like it was just trying to like cram like a bunch of different genres into one album. Like it didn't really know what it wanted to be. Um, like I said, it's not bad. There are a few good songs, and I do like how some of the songs on this album have that like that 80s kind of vibe to like the 80. I don't know what's the word for it. How like a lot of those 80s songs like had that little. I have no idea how to explain it because I don't know shit about musical talk, musical terms, and all that musical jargon. But if you listen to songs like Enjoy the Silence or not Enjoy the Silence, stupid. Yeah, Enjoy the Silence or Sweet Dreams, Sunglasses at Night. Um, do you know how they have that specific 80s sound to it? This is kind of how some of the songs on this album had that little 80s vibe. Um, so I actually like that. I'm a sucker for like 80s type of sound. And like I said, it's not a bad album. It's like I said, it's like right in the middle, like just right there. Um, if I had to choose my favorite song off of this album, looking at the track list, I would probably go with. Mm, huh, it's actually I never really thought what would be my favorite one on here. But if I had to choose, I would probably go with the opening track, Witness, because it just had, like I said, it has that nice little 80s vibe intro to it and everything. So like I said, this is around the time where like I wasn't really following Katy Perry like like what she was like doing music wise. Like if she had a new song on the radio, okay, I listen to it. If there was a new video, okay, I check it out. But I wasn't like really like I said, not losing my fandom or nothing like that. Just wasn't like really paying attention too much because this is also around the time when I actually started listening to Demi around this time. So it was like kind of like a changing of the guard, if you will. But yeah. So coming in at number four is what many people actually consider to be her actual debut album, but it's technically her second, and that is One of the Boys. This is where the song, like the album that pretty much made Katy Perry like a mainstream name with songs like I Kissed a Girl, Hot and Cold, Thinking of You. This is the album. Like I said, it got me into Katy Perry because when I first heard the song "I Kissed a Girl," I legit thought it was like such an annoying freaking song. And like I said, I saw the video, I saw who Katy Perry was. I'm like, oh, okay, she's kind of pretty and everything. And like I said, it wasn't just about like the looks or whatever. Like I said, I liked her voice and all that. And then when I started listening to like a few more of her music and everything, that's when I like became like a fan, or as her fans are called, Katy Cats. Shut up, because I know you're gonna say something. So,
Yay!
uh, um,
You're welcome.
hmm. So yeah, this like I said, it's not if you don't consider her Christian album to be her debut, and if you don't really consider if you consider this album to be her debut,
The
then
talking
it's
shit. It's because you would do the same thing.
I would do no such thing.
Bullshit!
Poppycock.
Bullshit! Even your sisters can confirm. He would do the same thing.
I say poppycock. Do people still use the word poppycock?
No, it's not the 1880s.
I'm not that old. I'm gonna be 39 next month. Girl.
I wanted to say something so bad. Are you sure it's not 93? Hilarious.
She should be a stand-up comedian. I'm telling you, she would.
I mean, I would, like, I could be on a roll.
I mean, if you're into that dark humor, she's the girl for you. Also,
So my jokes don't crash and burn.
oh,
It's like a 2x4 between two bridges.
oh my goodness Christ. I'm laughing because I know exactly what she's talking about. But if you don't know what she's talking about, for a cheap plug right now, her book is available on Amazon, wherever books are sold. And if you want to know exactly what, because like I said, I know it's an inside joke, but I know exactly what she means. But if you want to find out, feel free to check out her very first published book. It's called From the Brink of Death. It's available on Amazon, Walmart, Barnes& and Noble, wherever books are sold in softback, hardback, and on Kindle. And she's been getting a lot of um, promotion out right now with getting invites to be on podcasts, radio shows. So good job to you. Good job.
I
That's
should have put
all.
my hands over your mouth.
That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say because I cannot say anymore. You got to wait and find out. I'm only gonna say
I'm
that.
doing things. That's all you need to
Yep.
know.
Leaving it at that. Leaving it at that. Forget the last part. Forget the last part. If I knew how to edit this, I would, but I don't know how. So forget what you said in the last 10 seconds. All the rest, like I said, you just gotta wait and find out. So shameless plugging, everybody. Shameless plugging. So shameless plugging.
At least it didn't crash.
Oh my God, Katy. So going back to the album, like I said, one of the boys, like I said, if you consider this to be her actual debut, then it's a very good start for her. Um, it has that, that bubblegum pop, if you want to call it that. I personally consider this to be her debut. I mean, I really don't consider the Christian rock album to be her debut because if you listen, it's like a completely different person. Pretty much, it's like night and day comparing this album and the one that came before it. Um, so yeah, but if I had to choose my favorite song off of this album, I would go with "Hot and Cold." Um, I when I did a ranking of my top 30 Katy Perry songs a couple years back, I want to say that was ranked like maybe like number 4 or number 5, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while, but yes. So, and then coming in at number 4 is their album Smile, which is actually, I think, her sixth album. Yes, Smile. And this actually surprised me a lot because this album came out maybe, I want to say it came out like straight bang in the middle of the pandemic, if I'm not mistaken, like in 2020, when pretty much, everyone was like couldn't go outside. And I maybe heard like one or two songs off of this album, and I was like, they didn't really like hit it for me. Maybe because I just chose the wrong songs to listen to. But so this past weekend when I did this binge, this was actually my first time listening to this album in full, and I can honestly say that it surprised the hell out of me. Like it was actually really really good. Like I did not think I was going to enjoy it as much. I thought it was just gonna be like one of them albums, kind of like like the 143 is like, it's just there, and her popularity isn't what it used to be. But like I said, this album like really surprised me, and I did not legit think it would be that good, but it actually really is. And coming off after Witness, this was like pretty much like a return to form for her. Like this sounded more like Katy Perry, like the Katy Perry that I know, the Katy Perry that that I was a fan of for so many years. Um, to go from Witness to this is like a complete whoop. Like yeah, it felt like we got the Katy Perry of old on this album, and I really, really liked it. If I had to pick a favorite song on the album, I would go with the song "Not the End of the World," which and I saw the video as I was binging the album, and it was my first time seeing the video, and it's pretty much like one big giant Easter egg. Because if you know, a lot of people compare her to the actress Zoe Deschanel because they look alike and everything. It was funny. I don't know if you've never seen the video, you probably know what the hell I'm talking about. But if you have, you do know what I'm talking about. And in the video for this song, it's about aliens trying to take over the world, and they try to kidnap Katy Perry to, I guess, save the world or something. But they end up kidnapping Zoe Deschanel because they think she's Katy Perry because they look alike, and they keep confusing her when she's trying to tell them, "No, I'm not Katy Perry, I'm Zoe." But then she ends up cosplaying as Katy Perry, and the aliens end up loving her anyway. She ends up saving the world anyway. So, but yeah, I felt like that was pretty cool because, like I said, they do look like. I ain't gonna lie. So, but I thought that was a really cool video and everything. And I'll probably say that was probably my favorite song on the album. Like I said, I was legit surprised by how good that album was. I did not think it was gonna be that good, especially to rank it at number three. So applaud to you, Katie, because like I said, I did not think I thought it was gonna be just yeah, just let's get it over with. And but no, it was really really good. It really was. So coming in at number two is perhaps her most iconic album, her most famous, and that is Teenage Dream. And of course, if you know this album, this is where pretty much her most iconic songs come from are on this album. Firework, Teenage Dream, California Girls, um, E.T., which is my personal favorite. Yeah, this Teenage Dream, like I said, it's probably her most. If you had someone had to ask, like, what's Katy Perry's most well-known album, chances are it will probably be Teenage Dream. Um, if someone were to ask me, well, what's a good album to listen to get to know Katy Perry, I would probably choose this one, even though I'm not ranking it number one, but I would still probably choose this because this album is Katy Perry. This album, like I said, it has her most iconic hits on here. Like all the songs are just like up there. Like, okay, that's a Katy Perry song. You what like they ask you what's the first Katy Perry song that pops in your head, and chances are it'll probably be one of the songs on this album because how many people are gonna name a song off of Witness or 143 or even Smile? Like they're probably chances are 9 out of 10 times, like I said, I could be wrong, but 9 out of 10 times they're probably going to name a song off of this album. And this is around the point where like I was like, okay, I was like really, really becoming a Katy fan and everything. Um, and there's actually so many good songs on this album. I think this one and the one that I got ranked at number one are probably the only two albums that I have legit like have every song on the album in my music library of my Katy Perry playlist. Which tells you something. Like there's like legit not a bad song on this album. Like even the more slower songs, like the ones that aren't really radio hits. And there are a few that aren't radio hits that are actually really good. If I had to choose my favorite non-popular Katy Perry song, it would be on this album. It's called Circle the Drain. It has like a nice little hard rock vibe to it. It has like a really nice guitar sound that I like on there. And when I first heard this album, that was like one of the songs that immediately got my like. Like I said, I like that. Of course, I'm a rock guy. I grew up on rock, so to hear like some of a rock song on a Katy Perry album, I was like, oh shit. And if you listen to the song, it is actually about I guess her ex-boyfriend, the guy from I think it was Gym Class Heroes, I think it was. Pretty much how she's like tired of his like drug addictions and everything, and she's not gonna like put up with it no more. She's like, I'm not your mother. I'm not gonna baby you or whatever. It's a really good song. And if I had to choose my favorite like non-hit, non-popular song that like no one really knows, it would probably Circle the Drain because like I said, I really love that song and I love the rock vibe to it. Like I said, there's not a bad song on this album. There's like really not. Like I said, there's all the songs that people know, and there's all the songs that people don't know, and there's like I said, it's really really good. But if I had to choose my favorite song on the album, period, it would be "E.T.," which is actually my favorite Katy Perry song. You know, period. It's always been my favorite. Um, of course, I'd rather probably not the version with Kanye West, of course, but I mean, and I was actually happy to hear her perform that song both times that I saw her live. But yeah, but like I said again, this is truly an amazing album. Like I said, not one bad song on there. So, which brings us to number one, and if you've not been paying attention, which means my rank at number one is her third, technically her fourth album, Prism. And I can honestly say this is probably my favorite Katy Perry album. I mean, it's not as iconic as Teenage Dream or One of the Boys, but I feel like it's right up there. This was like when this album came out. This was like right when I was at like the peak of my Katy Perry fandom. Like I was just like, oh, she was my favorite, like my number one. Like while I was still living at home at the time, and like I had like my Katy Perry posters on the wall and everything, and who doesn't who didn't have their celebrity crushes hanging on their wall, and like everyone knew how much I loved Katy Perry at that point in time. Like my little cousin, well, she was calling her. She said I like Katy Perry, but that she was like probably like maybe like four, but yeah, she was saying I like Katy Perry. But yeah, like I said, everyone knew I was a Katy Perry fan at that time. And this is around the time when this album came out. And this was like around the time when I also saw her for the first time in concert, was just a few months after this album, was released. And again, kind of like Teenage Dream, there's like so many great songs in here that a lot of people probably don't like sleep on, but it has so many of her also hits too, like Roar, Birthday, Unconditionally, Dark Horse. Um, there's a lot of good ones on here too. Dark Horse is probably my second favorite Katy Perry song ever, like after E.T. It's like a toss up between those two. Uh, Again, this is another one. Like I said, some of her like non-hit songs, like they're actually really good, like Legendary Lovers or um, Walking on Air. This is how we do. International Smile. Ghost is a really good one as well. And like I said, when I saw her the first time, when she sang the song "Birthday," she was like she had asked anyone in the crowd, was like, anyone just had a birthday recently? My birthday had just passed like the week before, and I was over there waving my hand and everything. Obviously, she didn't pick me, but she picked some other guy. And she brought him on stage and she sung the song "Birthday." Was I jealous? Yes, I was. But she was like on a little platform thingy, and it like flew right over my head. So I was like, yeah, that was pretty cool. But yeah, like even though it's like I said, it's not as iconic as Teenage Dream or One of the Boys. To me, Prism is, in my opinion, the best Katy Perry album. My personal favorite. I'm not saying it's the best because, like I said, I'm sure there might be people who say Teenage Dream is the best. There might be some who say One of the Boys is the best. There might be that one person who says Katie Hudson is the best, or that one there might be one random person that says 143 is the best. So kudos to you. Like I said, I'm not gonna judge you over it. But some might say Witness is the best album. But like I said, this is my opinion. You know, I'm not saying you have to agree with me. Um, but this is just like I said, my personal opinion. And I'm going with Prism as my number one favorite Katy Perry album. Just listening to it takes me back to like a time where I was like listening to it like damn, it says like even though it's not old where it makes you feel nostalgic, it just had like that listening to that music. Like I'm sure there's songs that people hear like it just hits you when it plays and it takes you back to like a certain point of your time. Like damn, like It gives you like this, like one song can take you back to one particular summer where like it was the best summer of your life, or you could hear a song that could bring you take you back to a time like, oh, it was like a fun time in high school or something. Listening to this album just has that sound that like takes you back to like, damn. Sometimes I wish I was still living at home because I was living it good. I hate being an adult because you gotta pay bills and everything. But hey, what can you do? It's part of living. So yeah, there you go. Those are my rankings for all seven Katy Perry albums. Quick recap coming in at number seven. That last was her debut album, Katy Hudson. At number six was 143. At number five was Witness. At number four was One of the Boys. At number three was Smile. At number two, Teenage Dream. And at number one was Prism. Again, these are my personal opinions. Like I said, my favorite might be your least favorite. My least favorite might be your favorite. Like I said, I'm not going to argue with you. I like to hear them. I like to hear your opinions and discuss them with you. Like, what do you think is your favorite Katy Perry's best album? What do you think is her worst? What's your favorite? Or what's your favorite song from her? What's your least favorite song? I like to hear the feedback. I like to hear the comments. I got like so many feedback when I did my warning ranking, and like there was so many comments and there and getting all the feedback, and I really enjoy that. And on that note, I would like to say I was this past Monday actually made 3 months that I started this channel, and I was like, holy shit, has it been that long already? And like I said, I want to thank everybody who has subscribed, who has been following these videos. Even if you're just skimming through them, I appreciate it. I appreciate all the feedback, all the comments, and everything. Whether it's positive or negative, I appreciate it. And 38 followers, it's not a million, but it's better than zero. And as I
Start somewhere.
exactly, someone we got to start. And as I mentioned in a post I actually did the other day about that, hitting that 3 month mark, I might not have the flashiest get up, or this is probably the most basic video you're probably watching.
The dining room.
Exactly, I'm in the dining room of my apartment. Once I get my little room over there set up, I'll probably take it to there. But like I said, this isn't the most flashiest thing, all the little fancy edits and everything. But as I told myself, that's not why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this to win the most flashiest or most extravagant video. I'm doing this because I love doing it. It's something I've wanted to do for years. And I'll be honest, I have not gone back and watched any of my videos because I probably go back and I probably won't like the way I sound or whatever. But hey, um, I feel like I've come a long way from the very first video I did 3 months ago where I was like nervous. And yes, in case you might notice, I may stutter sometimes when I get excited or whatever, but hey, everyone has their flaws. But I feel like I personally feel, I don't know, like I said, if you guys have been watching from the beginning, I feel like I've come like a long way, even though it's only been 3 months. But like I said, again, thank you to everyone um, for that. A couple things I got coming up for this channel. Of course, as you know, Sundays are when I do my WrestleMania rebooking videos. I got a couple other videos and ideas that I have in mind. Me and Tabby are currently in the middle of our Batman binge, where we are binge watching every live action Batman film. We got like four more to go, and then once we're done, we're gonna go ahead and do that. I've also on the side been doing binging the filmography of one of my favorite actresses, Elizabeth Olsen. I usually do that on my lunch break at work. Um, am I gonna do another album ranking? I do have some ideas of who I want to do. I do plan on probably maybe doing another of my favorite artists. I'm not gonna say who. You'll find out when we get there. It might be another female singer. It might be another rock band that I like. I'm not gonna tell you. I do have a couple ideas in my head. Um, so yeah, also tomorrow I'm going to be going to our very first independent wrestling show. I've never been to one before, so it's gonna be a different vibe. Like I said, I'm gonna see, of course, as you know, I'm a big Tegan Knox supporter, So I will be there front row with my Tegan shirt supporting the girl with the shiniest wizard, the most underused, underappreciated, underutilized women's superstar in professional wrestling. So yeah, I I got some ideas in here that I plan on doing, and we'll see them. Like I said, I'm in the middle of um binge playing every Mega Man game. I got like maybe like four more to go before I finish the whole series. Like I said, I got other ideas that I'm not gonna outright say yet. Um, it's best to sometimes play close to the vest, or as they say, like something like that. So you can only give away so much, but yet there's still a lot that you're not giving out because you don't want to spoil a surprise. So, so yeah. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the ranking of Katy Perry's albums. Like I said, I'd love to hear your opinions, your feedback, and then until next time, remember, if you haven't asked me about it, chances are I'm going to talk about it anyway.